Okay, I'm live. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. Trying to figure out how to get close to the camera like I used to. I used to do my public access television show called Goddess KRING on public access Seattle television, 1996 to 2011. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of documentary I would like to make about my work. And it occurs to me that there's no way, like if I had to audition and do my own 28-minute weekly TV show, nobody would have said yes. Oh yes, Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. You can do a strange, eccentric 28 minutes every week, improvisational monologues and body paint and poetry. Nobody would have given me permission to do that. I had to create that for myself. And it occurs to me that if I attempt to make a documentary film in a traditional sense, I'm not going to be able to do that. Not that I'm not capable of doing that, but that my heart and soul won't be in it unless I come up with my own way. And part of what drives me to do my art is to not allow myself to be a perfectionist, not allow procrastination to stop me, and not allow being a perfectionist to stop me. I'm definitely not a control freak and I'm not a perfectionist. But the flip side of being a perfectionist is perhaps not being picky enough about wanting something to be high quality. When I look at all of the videos, I have boxes and boxes of Goddess KRING videos from 15 years of literally 15 years of doing a weekly TV show. And so I have over 700 28-minute episodes. And some of the shows are way more interesting, and some of them are sloppy. And bits and pieces are fascinating, and bits and pieces are just like creepy and disturbing and weird. And so my show was all over the map. My show was an improvisational experiment to literally look in the mirror at myself and literally look in the mirror of the audience and allow them to use me as a mirror. So the audience and the performer are mirrors for each other. And there's a community and a connection that happens, and people can project onto each other. And when I talk into the camera, I feel like I'm talking to God or spirit or the entire universe, in addition to talking to you, in addition to talking to you, the audience, whoever you are watching this video. If somebody's watching this besides me, thank you for tuning in. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. I need to just do my own thing. So what I've been doing is I've been trying, because when I started my public access TV show, it was total improvisation. I wasn't modeling it after anybody else specifically, and I was just making it up as I went. And when I think about making a documentary film about Goddess KRING TV show or Shannon Kringen experimental human artist who was raised by I'm the only child of two parents that are interesting people. My dad has written folk music and comedy. He hasn't professionally gotten on stage with it, but my entire childhood was filled with him practicing his music and comedy on waitresses and family and friends. He was a very successful tennis teacher in La Jolla, California, and Bainbridge Island. when we moved up here. So my dad was professionally a tennis teacher at the Seattle Tennis Club and at La Jolla, California, the beach and tennis club in La Jolla. So he had a career doing that, but he secretly wanted to pursue folk music and comedy, and he even taught tennis to the actor Paul Sorvino. And Paul Sorvino said, "Hey, you're really talented and unique. If you come to LA, I'll introduce you to people and the rest is up to you." Because my dad thought, well, he has stage fright. My dad, he didn't want to go on stage, but maybe he could be a comedy writer behind the scenes for a show in Los Angeles or something like that. But he never pursued it. So my dad raised me with the idea that comedy and music was his talent, and he's written some folk songs. One of his songs called Slow Down almost became a theme song to a Hollywood B movie, and then they changed their mind at the last minute, and my dad got really discouraged. So my dad wrote comedy and music, but his perfectionism kind of got in the way of him pursuing it, and he still is working on maybe doing some of his music and improving it. And it's a long story, but we're still working on that comedy and music with my dad. And then my mom is a very private person. I don't want to say a whole lot, but she is a very talented artist with clay and enameling and metal. And she has a unique way of designing. And I grew up listening to her tell me some of her ideas. And both my parents are really critical, and they're very smart and analytical, but it's gotten in their way in terms of, in my opinion, it's just my opinion. In my opinion, their criticalness and perfectionism has gotten in the way because my dad like loves Bob Dylan and Gordon Lightfoot and Joan Baez and the Everly Brothers and Simon and Garfunkel, and in music, and then in Frank Sinatra, and then in comedy he loves Richard Pryor and Sam Kinison and Steve Martin and all kinds of other comedians I forgot the names of, George Carlin, people like that. You can never be like another comedian or a folk musician. You can only be like yourself. So if you let that stop you. So basically, I part of why I did Goddess KRING was because I didn't want I witnessed both my parents have a lot of creative potential with comedy, music, and visual art between the two of my parents, but they didn't fully pursue it professionally because they were perfectionistic and their critical nature got in the way of them fully pursuing it. Also, I grew up with this idea that being successful meant that you were an egomaniac or a narcissist. So if you're too successful, it means you're overrated or underrated. If you're not successful enough, you're underrated. If you're too successful, you're overrated. It's like a competition. I mean, that takes all the fun out of art when you think of it like a competition. And what's the other thing I was thinking of? And so my parents both raised me thinking that to be too successful meant that you were egotistical. Being a failure, that's no fun if you try something and you fail. But what does failure mean? External success, internal success? I mean, if you're doing what you love, then that is a success. Like, I'm not sure what I was trying to achieve when I did my Goddess KRING show. I've always wanted to be famous, and it's embarrassing to say that out loud because it sounds so stupid. Like wanting to be famous sounds kind of stupid. It sounds shallow. But what does that mean? What does it mean to be famous? It means, in my opinion, you could be famous for no good reason. But what I mean by when I say I want to be famous is I want to be appreciated for my artistic contribution to the world. So, did Tom Petty care about fame? He cared about his music. But when you're famous, more people hear your music. So if you're good enough to become famous, and then some people become famous and people don't think they're talented. Other people become famous and people think, oh, well, they deserve their success because they're a good songwriter or whatever. So basically, external success and ego gets in the way. So now I'm back to square one. I'm back to square one thinking if I do a documentary film about Goddess KRING and what I did with that and interview people who liked my show or even people who didn't like my show, if somebody's willing to talk on camera about why they don't like what I do and in a constructive way talk about it. See, these are all the thoughts that are going through my mind right now. And some of my best shows were maybe when I wasn't explaining myself in such a self-conscious way. Because what happened was I did my show and I got a lot of fan mail and hate mail. And it was amazing to me because I thought maybe nobody would watch, but I was hoping people would watch. And then when I found out that people were watching, I was like, oh my God, people are actually watching. Who am I? What am I doing? And then I got really self-conscious. And then I had people telling me that I was crazy or on drugs or a nutcase or an attention whore or a narcissist or whatever it was, all the different things that could be. Why would somebody want to do a show called Goddess KRING and film themselves every week for 28 minutes and do monologues? And then the people that knew me thought it was fascinating because I'm known as kind of quiet and shy. Some people think of me as a shy, quiet person. But then if you can do 28-minute monologues on camera and share it on public TV, I guess that's not shyness, but it's a different kind of. I'm an introspective person who wants to express themselves, but I don't know. The whole thing is just weird. So I'm thinking about failure, success, ego. What's your heart and soul? Like my heart and soul wants to make art and share it with people. Does it matter if somebody's famous or not famous? Other people think if you're famous, then you're a sellout and you're shallow. Other people think if you're famous, it means you succeeded. And it's like external success maybe means nothing if you're not happy, if you don't actually love what you're doing. Think of all the famous rock stars who have committed suicide or all of the famous writers. A lot of famous people commit suicide. It's horrible. It's like it doesn't. So obviously, becoming famous doesn't make you happy. In fact, whatever your problems are before you become famous probably get even more intense when you become famous, whether it's good or bad. The good things about your personality get amplified, and the bad things about your personality also get amplified. So fame is kind of a distraction. And so the older I get, the more I realize that fame is like a dead end. Wanting to be famous is a dead end because if you're putting your power in the hands of the audience on whether they think you're cool or not, or whether you're famous or not, then you think you're a failure if you're not famous or if you're not connecting with an audience. What does fame mean? Does fame mean connecting with an audience? Does fame mean being appreciated for whatever your talent is or whatever you're giving? So I'm recording myself right now. It is November. What's the date? Is it November? It's November 5th, 2023. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING in Seattle. So I hope the internet connection is okay and I'm doing a live video. And I'm just thinking about the Goddess KRING documentary and what that could be. Could it be a weekly YouTube thing or should it just be a regular movie that's feature length? I'm not concerned about following the rules of a normal documentary. I want to just do my own thing. It's my own independent project. There is a documentary called Typecast Dragon, which I'm in, which was from 10 years ago, and I'm happy. It's like a 10-minute documentary. I think it's 10 minutes or something, and I'm really happy that I was involved in that. I was chosen for that by some filmmakers who were doing it, a 48 or 24-hour contest or whatever that was. I don't know. And it was screened at the Seattle Film Festival. There's also Channeling Yourself, which is a documentary that is being made right now on Public Access Seattle, and they interviewed me and a whole bunch of other people on different shows, and they're going to splice all of it together, and hopefully that will come out, Channeling Yourself. So I'm just trying to figure out. I don't know. I have like over 700 videos, and now I have finally the technology, and I understand how to take old VHS tapes and turn them into digital files that I can store on an external hard drive. And I know that a 28-minute video of mine is anywhere from 824 megabytes all the way up to 3 or 4 gigabytes. So each video really varies in size, file size. So I'm figuring that out and I'm storing them and trying to figure out, can I edit together the most interesting parts of my show and splice that together with my current art car, Shannon Kringen reality? Because I was in my 20s when I started my show and now I'm in my 50s. So that's like 30 years, like the 90s versus now. I'm 55 years old right now, which is like, wow, I've made it. I made it to 55. I'm so happy. I would like to live till I'm 100. So 2068, I'll be 100 years old. My dad is 80 and doing well. My mom is 75 or 76 and doing well. They're both pretty healthy. So um, grateful for that. So thank you for listening. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING, just checking in with you for today. I'm just trying to figure out what kind of documentary I can make about my own show and about how I affected the audience or how they affected me. I don't want it to be some narcissistic, thing. I want it to be like more of a creative exploration into the mirror of me and my audience and what I learned from doing it and what I'm continuing to learn and driving around in my sparkly rhinestone art car that I have and making people smile. And I still model for art classes, which I've done for literally 30 years, since 1992. I guess that's 31 years I've been art modeling. Um, and I also take care of pets, people's dogs and cats. I take care of pets, and I art model, and I standardize patient medical model, and I do my art, and I share videos here. So I do a bunch of different things, and here I am. So I'm learning as I go. So thanks for tuning in. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. Feel free to write me with questions or comments at my email. Just go to shannonkringen.com or search Goddess KRING, Shannon Kringen to find me all over the internet. I love to share my stuff everywhere. I've got thousands of photos on Flickr that I offer. I have Creative Commons license you could publish. And one way of backing up my Goddess KRING videos too is to ask fans, if you like my videos, feel free to share them and download them and keep copies of them. Happy that my work is useful to others. Okay, have a good day, everyone. Bye for now. I'm going to go take a walk. End stream. Bada boo, bada bing. This is the Goddess KRING signing out. Bye. Thanks for being here.